Hello guys, this video is about React interview technical round question. In React technical round, interviewer wants you to create a project and add some logic into it. So the question they usually asked are like this. Let's take this first example. So question is like you have two component A, component B. In component B, you have one button. In component A, you have to display a list. You will display this list on click on button of component B. So when you click on component B, then you should display the list on this component B, and this list will come from API. So basically this is how it is. In this question, what you usually do is you create a project inside your system, and this typically take a long time, okay, and this also not much beneficial since it's taking your time as well as interviewers time. So to tackle this situation, we must aware about some sandbox of the React.js which will provide us ready to work React.js environment. So for that, I will go on browser. I'll search for code sandbox in React. So once you click on that, you will get all this result, and as you can see, we have this React code sandbox. When you click on this sandbox, you will get to say that you will already get one project. Okay, you have this app file over here. What you can see here is the browser window where you can see whatever you are doing inside this project. Okay, here you can see the files of that project. You can add file in case you want to export in zip, or you want to upload some files, you can add here. Also you have this tab for the dependencies. From dependencies, if you want to add any dependency, you can add the dependency. Currently we have React DOM, React scripts over here. So this is totally a ready-made environment for the React. You can directly start writing your program here. Again, they already provide you components, so you can directly ready to answer the question or to work on the question. Now they said there are the two components, so let's consider app is the first component. Let's create second component. I'm create file as a component B. Okay, once I create this component, to create a component we can directly copy this since it is already component to save time. Now here is the thing, see, we need to change the name of the component B, and what it should return is nothing but the button, since there is a button in second component. If you want to look into the example, as I can see, component B have button. Okay, to add button, first of all I am removing this and I am adding button here. Okay, and we'll name this button as a click here. I'll save this file. Now in first component, that is our app component, we already have this two text. We can remove this text. Okay, now since we want to display something, so to display something to dynamic text, we need to use a hook. So for that we will be using a hook named use state, and use state returns us array in which we need one setter and getter. So getter basically gives us the values. So for the list, I just use list over here, and let's have set list the setter, then use fetch hook. Okay, at start we will get only empty array over here. Now the thing is that you need to display this overall array from the list. So for that, what you will do, you need to iterate this list dot map. In map you will get every item, and once you get that item, you will be displaying this item. Correct, so this map through this list, and if I just save this and if I refresh the browser, it will show nothing since there is nothing anything here, right? Now if I add something into the array, like let's say item string, what it will do, it will show the item as a list. Okay, I can add second item here also, just for the demonstration purpose. It will show us item 1, but at first this array would be totally empty, so we'll keep this array empty. Now the thing is that in question we have a second component in which we have the button, as you can see here. Okay, so we have created component B, inside we have button. What we can do, we can add this component in this component. So here this environment will help you component B, and it will export that component for us. Now the thing is that since we have that button inside this component B, and this is the part interviewer want to see that how you tackle with these problems, that you have to go in component B, and from here you just need to trigger the event, and this event will trigger this list over here. and this list is coming from the API. So for that we can create one method over here, like a const fetch list method. Okay, and in this fetch list we want to fetch this list. On clicked on this button, so what we can do, we can pass this fetch list as a property. So we are passing this method as a reference. Now we will get this page list property on component B through the props. So we get props over here, and on clicking on button we want all this happen. So I'll add on click event, and on this on click event, since we are getting that method from the props, so I'll add this fetch list method from the prop over here. So as you can see, on click, this fetch list method from app.js will be triggered. Now the thing is that we want to show the list, and this list is coming from nothing but one of the API. So you can take any API, interviewer can give you any API for that. So to hit the APIs, we will need some library. I will be using Axios library for that. And in dependency search box, you can directly add the dependency name, and here we get this option for the Axios. When we click on it, this Axios library got added inside our project. We can import that library from Axios, and we will get that Axios over here. Okay, so in this fetch list method we will be using a API. For that I need to use this Axios, and we need to use get method for that. In this get method we will be using URL of any get API. For that I will check for the APIs on the internet. Well, I have found one URL for that, so I have added that URL over here. Now Axios will always return us one promise. If we are getting a promise, then we have to use then method on it. But we can even simplify it, making this function as asynchronous function. For that we can add async over here. We can use await inside. What we can do is we can get this response. Now in this response, whatever this API will return will get. And what we can do is, like, we can console to check what response we are getting currently. So console.log, and we can console for this response. Clear all this, and if I click on this button, as you can see, we are getting this response. In data we are getting other data objects, and in data we again getting another data in which we have array of 6 objects. Okay, and for every object we have first name, last name. So for that what we can do is, like, since we will be needing only this data over here, what we can do is, since we have the set list method to set the list, what we can do is set, and we'll be passing response dot data dot data. Okay, now set list will set all this data over here, so we'll getting the item of this given array. Okay, and in this array we need to print the property, so we'll be printing this first name property. So this is supposed to be items dot. Okay, if I save this, and if I click here, we are getting list of the names from this API response. So this is how interviewer asks us to do things. We'll be taking another examples on React.js. So for that, stay tuned. See you in next video.